Good afternoon. Welcome back. It is April 13th. It's a Sunday. It's a special Sunday. It's Palm Sunday, where people walked through the streets and waved palm branches, preparing the way for Jesus, who rode in on a donkey. And that is important to us, especially in this Easter season, because I believe that God sent his only son, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross for you and for me, to save us from our sins. But he didn't stay dead. He rose again in 3 days and defeated sin and death. And so it is a special season, and I hope you find hope and love and joy this Easter season. The horses are out of hay. I fed them one more time this morning, and that was it. They need a new bale. So we're gonna let this old girl warm up. And look at this, we still have not replaced the door. It is here. It just has not been installed yet. So I'm gonna just let that warm up a little bit. Of course it's spring, and so it's like 10 above today, but I'm still gonna give it 5 or 10 minutes just to let the juices flow, and we're gonna go take a look at all the babies. We're a little bit on the cranky side. You guys are eating so much food. Look at this. So I copper bolushed them a week and a half ago, or maybe it's been I think only a week and a half ago. And that hair is growing back. That's good. That's what we want to see. Hello.
I'm watching.
Ah, you're watching?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I am so excited, sense the sarcasm, about all of the work that we have to do here and all the cleanup and fixing, and my goodness. So believe it or not, these are our last 2 bales. We picked up this one from our favorite supplier. He sold us 2. It's not as much alfalfa as I had hoped. Looks like the deer and the moose had gotten into it in his yard. This is one of the bales we got from the supplier that we had trouble with. So a lot of the bales were garbage. So I've got to choose which one do I feed the horses. And I think I'm going to take this outside the horse pen, and if it ends up being a really nice alfalfa bale, I'll just bring it back over here and use it to feed the goats, and then feed this one to the horses. That's the last 2 bales, and obviously that's not going to feed us out till grass and new hay season. But we do have, I think it's 6 to 10 more like horse bales over at my mother-in-law's place, and so it's just a matter of hauling them back. I also have some square bales I'm going to pick up this week just to add some extra feed. Had we had all of these bales for the goats be good, I would have had plenty enough feed until like probably July. But because of the headache we had and the rotten bales and the issues, we wasted a lot, as well as some of them we just couldn't even use it for the goats. So that's where it sits. We're gonna load out this one. We're gonna haul it over to the horses. Try not to get stuck in the mud. I'm gonna plop her down over there and then cut into it whenever I find my knife or a sharp tool. Then we'll get after a couple other things.
Romans chapter 8, verse 35 to 39. Can anything ever separate us from Christ's love? Does it mean he no longer loves us if we have trouble or calamity, or are persecuted or hungry or destitute or in danger or threatened with death? As the scriptures say, for your sake we are killed every day, we are being slaughtered like sheep. No, despite all these things, overwhelming victory is ours through Christ who loved us. And I am convinced that nothing can ever separate us from God's love. Neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither our fears for today nor our worries about tomorrow, not even the powers of hell can separate us from God's love. No power in the sky above or in the earth below, indeed, nothing in all creation will ever be able to separate us from the love of God that is revealed in Christ Jesus our Lord.
How are you? We are best friends, huh? Hi, mister. Hey, Mr. Frodo. Oh, you walked away. Alright, I did not get nearly as much done as I wanted to, but it's an improvement, I think. Oh my. Why do we have to yell all the time? Okay, let's chat for a second. Our shingles are almost 25 years old. They're starting to lift on this side especially. So we are replacing shingles this year. We're also doing all of the plumbing underneath the trailer, under the skirting. Because when the year it was made, they did poly B plumbing, and well, it's a real bugger to try to get house insurance with that kind of plumbing. And so we only were able to get house insurance when we agreed that we would replace the plumbing in 12 months. So we're nearing the last couple months of that agreement. We had hoped to do it last summer, and we did not get to both of those things. So that hopefully is going to happen in the next few weeks. Just a variety of yard cleaning things. There's so much horse manure from last summer when I staked the horses out here, or I put hot wire out and then they grazed the grass just because we were so short on hay. And then this monstrosity, the junkyard, scrap things, bicycles, barrels from who knows what, tin, snowmobile, lawn tractor. Oh my goodness, the goats. Shush. An unfinished lean-to was the plan, to put tin on that, create a nice little area to put the equipment under. This, unfortunately, is garbage. It's broken. So we got to get rid of that. We got to deal with the tin. Obviously, the tin can go up on the roof or something. But this whole area needs a whole overhaul. But as I was looking out my kitchen window, which is right there, I was pondering and thinking, how on earth are we going to do the things that we need to do with the space that we have and the limitations that we have on this property? So I'm sitting here staring at this out my window and I'm like, ugh, this is so disgusting. It is so messy. We have to fix this. Now, option one, use it what it's intended for. It's a wood shed. You stack firewood in it, and then we haul it from here to our wood stove. And because it's not fully sealed, snow comes in it and whatever. Anyways, we've got a bunch of salmon firewood left in there. And we've got old tires. And this I just pulled over from over there this afternoon. Buckets of like concrete sealant, jerry cans, rusty nails now because it wasn't closed in, table saw, more tires, empty jerry cans, a rug, old kitty litter box from when we had kittens in here, and yeah, it's just, we have birds' nests. The birds like to come and nest up in the rafters. And then inevitably, every year that they nest up here, these guys eat the birds and the baby birds. Without fail, we have tried different things to get them to not do that, but it happens all the time. So anyways, this is the situation in here. We have just gravel, rock down underneath. And so the idea was to make benches, and then it could be like Stan's workshop for woodworking, blah, blah, blah. And it just never really happened. So we've just been kind of our dump zone for, there's just not really a rhyme or a reason. We have not utilized the space very well. We tried to expand the door and it blew off. So we need to, do this properly so that we can actually have a proper door on there, seal it up well. And then we've been thinking, what on earth are we doing with the greenhouse? Because I'm not a greenhouse person. And we tried to sell it, like to be moved. And I tried a couple years to grow stuff in here. And I'd rather just plant root vegetables and peas and whatnot in the actual big garden. Greenhousing and starting things in like March is not my thing because it's so expensive to heat it. And I'm like, I might as well buy plants that are big enough to go into the garden versus starting seeds in here, paying to heat the place, etc., etc. Then I started thinking, well, hey, there's already benches and stuff in here. Obviously, this is the wrong height, but there's benches and stuff in here. All we'd have to do is take this soil out of this raised bed, create a bench here, and now he's got a work area if he wants it. Most of this would just be emptied and garbage, pretty much. Most of these pails and whatnot were here when we came. It's very, very brittle plastic from sitting in the sunshine. And then what we would do is we would probably pull all of this like greenhouse siding, I can't remember what it's called, pull it off and sell it by the sheet, and then just basically OSB or plywood it, and then put tin on the roof. Very simple, like the structure's here, all of the electrical, we've got heating, the whole works. And so we had talked about, we could use this as like the kidding barn. And I would have to measure. I don't know the exact dimensions of this space, but I'm not convinced that it's bigger than the kidding barn I have. Maybe it's a touch wider. And so this would be an option for, like, you could do 4 really good sized stalls in here if you wanted to, or have it like as a kid palace where I'm raising kids and bottle feeding them in here. But that didn't fix the problem of the shelter issue that we have going on over there. Anyway, so that's what's thinking here. We're thinking maybe we could make this either a kid palace / kidding barn for when we kid, or it gets turned into workshop space. And the woodshed then gets repurposed, and all of this garbage and junk gets cleaned up and put away. And this woodshed, we would insulate it and put plywood on the inside, insulate it all the way up to the top, fill in the rafters so the birds can't nest up there and cause issues. And this would be a rather large space to use for kidding, or once the kids are big enough and they need a bigger space, it could be used for like the weaners. So the kids that I have right now that were born in January, they outgrew the stall and then the outdoor run. And so I just kicked them in with the big does. But I would prefer not to do that because diet needs and stuff are slightly different. And so I was like, oh, well, you know what? We could change this into a kidding / kid barn, or weanling or yearling or whatever, what have you, whatever's needed. This could be like an outdoor lean-to area where they're protected from the elements, but it's not totally closed off. And and then we would actually build a fence out here that would encompass a good chunk of this bush. There's the horse fence line right there, where that white tape is. And then here's the back of that wooden corral. This makes me excited because I think that this actually is the better idea. This is a whole pile of junk from the guy before we moved in. Goats love this brushy stuff. They would eat and mulch all of this in a heartbeat. Oh, I've got snow in my boot. Lovely. So the goats would absolutely demolish all of this, and then you come along and you pick up all of this deadfall, you bucket up, and you just burn it. But we could make this whole area back here goat fencing. And then if needed, here's the fun part, because we're dealing with water situations too, where I'm trying to think, where are my automatic waterers already installed? How can I utilize them as much as possible? And I think that this is like the perfect setup. So our plan is to cut this in half, and so then we'd have a gate here and a gate on the other side. So we'd cut that water in half, we'd cut this shelter in half, so we'd have two sides to a corral in case it's ever needed. Fixing has to happen here with longer spikes, longer nails, because it's all getting pushed off. So that needs to change, and then it needs to get scraped out and cleaned up really good. This can be kind of boggy in here. We struggle with that all over our property. We've got standing water everywhere. We have a ton of peat moss that just acts like a sponge. And it's like midsummer and we still have standing water, and everybody else is like experiencing a drought. It's the craziest thing. But regardless, if we split this pen, my big Nubians would never crawl through these gaps, like the big ones. Obviously the small ones, absolutely they would. But you could leave it as this. Or, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could put some of that like goat fencing. And you could close off this half and have a gate here, and it could then open up to the waterer, and then they would have access to water. And this would be the back of their barn shelter type of thing, with lots and lots of room to munch and explore and just clean up this mangled mess. Goats are amazing browsers. They're amazing at cleaning up this kind of jungle. This is honestly what their pen looked like before we moved them in there. It was actually probably worse than this, and they mulched it all like crazy. They're such good brush clearers. This one was just fell like a month and a half ago, so we're gonna lob it up and burn it probably, because pretty sure it's just it's all punky, and so there's not really good burning force there. But this makes more sense to me, because then we're utilizing already the footprint that we have, and it's not quite so crazy expensive to try to like put up a whole new structure. And more tin. The straw bale that's insulating all the snow underneath of it. I know everybody just wants me to do chores. I'm working on it. So then with the goats, for the winters that we have, that shelter's not good enough, and so I've seen a need for change, and we're gonna make the change happen. Especially with Nubians, they're not quite as hardy as my Nigerian dwarves. Sage, you are gonna get called out of this herd if you keep screaming at me. She screams all the time, not just when she wants to be milked or food or grain or treats or whatever. Shush. So if I continue to kid during the winter, my dairy animals need to be somewhere warmer where they can actually feed out of the wind and out of the elements, because otherwise we end up getting frostbitten teats, and that's not okay. My milk shed is right here. They have a waterer right here. We cannot expand that way too much because there's a big mound of where the guy buried his dump stuff. Like, instead of taking stuff to the landfill, he just took it out here and he buried it. So we've been piling, you know, composty stuff on there. It's never going to be usable compost, unfortunately. But our property line is just on the other side. Hi, I know, I gotta go grab a bucket. And then, yeah, so the milk shed, and then the kidding barn is on the other side of that. So I was like, okay, well, we could take this lean-to and extend it out, or extend the barn on the other side, and just all these questions of how do we make this into a shelter, and then this gets moved somewhere else. And then I realized that because of where we live, there are regulations and rules that you have to follow, and they control, so our regional district, they control how much square footage of buildings that you can have on your property. That's not including your house square footage. And so I haven't done any exact measurements, but I'm pretty sure that we're already over the limit of what's allowed to be here. And so that is frustrating, because that means that we can't really expand, because we have the horse shelter here, we've got the wood shed and the other white storage shed, the pump shed, we have a power shed, there is a shop on the property, and then we have our kidding barn and milk shed. And I'm pretty sure that if you were to tally up all of that space, I know, see, look, more junk. If you were to tally up all of that square footage, it very likely would be maxing out our allowance for what we can use on this property, which leaves me in a pickle, because I do actually need more space. So then you might ask the question, well, why wouldn't you just move? It's way more complicated than what I want to get into right now. Or it's cold today. Moving, if you were to ask me, I would want to move in a heartbeat. I would want to shop tonight or yesterday. And I do. I kind of keep an eye on local properties. But the truth is, we are not going to find something that we want and be able to afford it. Which means either make this place what we want because we can afford it, or buy a place that we can afford and make it into what we want. I hope that makes sense. But that's the reality of what we're working with. And so I'm like, you know what? I really get frustrated with how little space we have here, or at least it feels claustrophobic. But I think I have to get this like plan B out of my mind, and I have to focus on, we are here right now. God has trusted us with this property right now. What can we do to make it the best that it possibly can be? And right now it's not that, because it's just helter-skelter, stuff is spewed everywhere, and there's just this sense of like, it's not done and it's messy and I just don't like it. Well, how do we make changes without completely breaking the bank, and make good, healthy changes that overall will benefit the property for us, but also if we were to ever have that door open and for us to be able to move to a bigger property, to be able to then have this worth as much as it possibly could be worth for somebody who might be interested to buy it. And so I'm like, okay, I have to shift this mindset of, you know, it's just our make-do house. Let's make this the place we want to be. And it's going to take a lot of work, and we don't really have, you know, oodles and oodles of spare time. But there's just, we have to buckle down, make changes, and finish projects that have been just sitting unfinished for so long. And focus on what we can do, and not think about the what ifs and the dreams. Dreams are great. I will probably never stop dreaming. But I also have a tendency to sometimes run from problems And I don't want to run from this just because it's hard. I think that we can make this place better than what it is. It's just going to take a lot of time. It's also going to take God helping me to be content with where we are, because the house is feeling small. There are 5 of us, 3 beautiful young children, and we have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, which is way more than what some people have. It's a mobile home, which, I mean, it's fine, but like, I've lived in one now our entire married life, and it's getting really old. And I would love to be able to be in a house one day. Whether, again, we build a house here on this property, what would that look like? Where would a potential building site be? Could we afford it? Could we afford it now? No. Could we afford it in maybe 2 years? That's a stretch. What about 3 or 4 years? Would we want to build, a forever home type of thing here for the rest of our life potentially? I don't know. Or do we really want to focus on, at some point being able to save up enough to be able to buy that property and set it up the way that we want it, versus the shuffling, the stress, the strain of making do, but not necessarily thriving. So I don't know. There's so much. I thought there was not going to be a ton of projects this year. There are going to be a ton of projects this year. We have lived here for coming 5 years, and we've had goats like 3 of those years, and so we've done a ton. We've done a ton already, but there is still so much more yet to do. So stay tuned for all of the fun and the chaos that's about to happen. But in the meantime, I'm freezing my fingers off, and I need to milk these goats and get chores done. Isn't that right? You guys are ready. Ready, Freddies. Alright, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. My last bale from these guys that gave me such terrible, terrible hay. We finally got a good one. Look how beautiful that is. And of course, I thought it was going to be horrible, so I brought it over here for the horses. Now I've got to go haul it over for the goats and hope that it doesn't completely tumble apart. I don't know what to do.